Okay, so we did a quick Experian boost. This is only for your FICO model score 8. So, for example, if you're looking at a car loan with GM Financial Services for leasing, they're not going to use Experian. They're going to go through TransUnion. There's 3 credit reporting agencies, and there's different FICO scoring models. There's an auto FICO score. There's a different FICO score for renting and for mortgages. There's a different FICO score, probably the most lenient for credit cards. And there's FICO score 8, a FICO score 9. There's newer model FICO scores, and it really does break down, and it's kind of a little bit of magic and mystery because nobody really knows how the FICO score fully gets put together. However, with Experian, today we're talking about Boost. I got a 13-point boost. This is my actual FICO score. So on Credit Karma, it says it's high, 630 or whatever. But this is the actual FICO. It was at 602.
Okay, so obviously it's later in the day and pretty late at night now. With Equifax Boost, does it actually boost your credit score? Yes, in some cases. In some cases might only be 3 points, some might be 13, some people were saying 25, 40, 50. Yeah, if you did nothing to your credit score and you're in the 500s, obviously a small action can suddenly boost your credit score quite a lot. I mean, when I first got Self-Lender, it's that $25 loan per month where it's just a credit rebuilding loan. Yeah, it boosted my credit score quite a bit, like 40 points or something over, a 3-month period. I can't remember. But anyways, I'm more than 100 points where I was more than a year ago. When I first came back to America, I was not in a great credit financial position. Obviously, I'm still not there, but it is increasing. And yes, at the end of the day, did it boost? It did. Now, some people are saying it's a scam because your score is lower than TransUnion, Experian, I wanted to say Expedia, and Equifax. So some people were saying that Experian lowers your credit score, so it's lower than the other two, and lenders think it's so unreliable, such an outlier, that they usually don't even look at that score or whatever. I think that's a load of baloney. I work at a dealership where we use TransUnion. Sometimes we might use Equifax. I think that's what we use, but I've seen TransUnion probably the most. So I know we use 2. And it obviously depends which bank you go through and what's the manufacturer and whether they have their own financial services, such as with Infinity Financial Services, Ford Motor Company Financial. You have Volkswagen Auto Group, that whatever their financing is, they do a lot of financing. So there's certain brands like GM Motor Company, Chevrolet, GMC, obviously, they're going to have different standards, and they're going to take a look at that. And the reason I'm talking about car sales is because, well, it's a great transition into later. If you want to boost your credit score to get a better car, then there's a lot you can do. And I think that even though many lenders will ignore this little boost, at the end of the day, every little thing you can do to help your credit score will be a good thing. So, with that said, to the response that it's a scam, my score is actually the highest and was the highest out of all 3, and not by a huge difference, by a couple points. So one was 593, another 595, and the other was 603? I'm sorry, 602. So by a couple points it was higher. And now it's at 615, where my Vantage scores are at like 630 and 625 and 622, and one's actually at 631. So it's very exciting. At least for car loans, 600 is the biggie. And I know that with Volvo, for example, for leases, whether you have a 600 or 750, 600 is the minimum you will get prime rates, because it's a 1-tier credit system. Where with many companies, Volvo's probably, I think, the only one that does that. I don't know, there might be another one. Many companies will have even higher requirements and different levels, and obviously if you have a 600, you're not going to be getting great rates, but at least you're going to get approved. If you're in the 500s, there's a very low chance that you're going to get approved, especially if you don't have a down payment. In the 600s, you've got a chance, but obviously the higher down payment, the better chances you get. Depends on so many things, but 600 is a huge difference than 590, because you're in a different tier. Suddenly your tier changes, your percentages changes, everything changes, your approval odds. It's a completely different story. So at the end of the day, we don't know whether Experian Boost will actually help you secure a car loan or mortgage or whatever. Probably not, but anything you can do to boost your credit, all the best. There's also the privacy worries where people are saying, well, you're giving up your bank details, but there's a lot of applications that work in similar ways. You have a third-party company where it verifies your bank account and then goes through transactions, and it's not the only one. Obviously, one third party that is common is Plaid. I've seen that all over. So it's just something that is, to consider if you're a lower credit customer. If you're higher credit, you don't really need to. I don't think it's going to make a difference, but obviously the lower credit, the better you can get. I've tried so many stuff to rebuild, and a lot of people even said self-lender is bad. I say, hey, anything that helps, it's a good thing, right? And I've generally grown my credit score. It's a good thing, I'm so happy to be where I am. I want it obviously better, but I already feel that I'm in a much better position. I finally, I've got a car loan, I've got personal loans, I've got credit cards. It's healthy. Everything's being built, and it's going to get better from here. So anyways, thanks for watching. And now transition into I found the perfect dream car for me. A Chevrolet. I'm sitting very high up because the seat doesn't go as far back as I would like for it to, but it gets very close to there. And this is the first car I've ever sat in, thankfully no sunroof, where I have so much headroom that I'm able to lift the seat so much, and I have a lot of shoulder room, hip room, and also I'm so far away from the steering wheel that this is the furthest it's out. This is the furthest it's out. So usually when a seat inclines a little and starts going up, you get closer to the steering wheel and your knees start hitting that. Look at where it is. This is as far as it goes. If I want, I can push it even further. I love it. It's a Eco V8, so plenty of horsepower, nice and quiet. When I open the window, yeah, there's some noise. When I close it, it's very luxurious. Now, yes, a Suburban does cost quite a bit of money, but in the next couple of years, when these go down in price, this generation, I have a lot more space than the previous generation. So I sat on a previous gen Yukon, which is almost the same thing as a Suburban, and I didn't necessarily like that. That was the one that I complained a couple months back in a video. This one drives like a dream, and I'm driving just one step above the, it's an LT, the LS is the base edition, and I don't really care about the features. The LS is a little, it's too basic for me because it's got the cloth interior and a smaller screen, so you can't really see when you're backing up as much, and I'm not that comfortable with such large vehicles because I've always driven small sedans. My sedan is so tiny compared to this that, I definitely want to have a backup camera and sensors, so I just one step above the base model. Plus this has a heads-up display. Not that I really care about that, not that I'm going to be using it, but it's awesome. I don't care about features. I care about comfort, and I think this is the perfect car for me. It's not as much as, the Cadillacs and Escalades and Wagoneers. Again, when it's pricey. It's pricey because it's a big car. But if it's the same amount of room in the front, which I hope it is, in the Yukon, in the Tahoe, which is almost the same thing, I think, it's just, less room in the back, which I don't care about the third row, and I don't care about, because I'm not going to be hauling kids. I'm not a soccer mom. This is my dream car, and hopefully we're able to buy it next year. What I'm driving is a 2021. It's the first year of the new gen, and this one currently with 77,000 miles is priced at, I think, $53,800. That's what we're selling it for, so taxes and fees in the 60s. But a brand new one of these costs $60,000, so quite a bit. That's why obviously I would want to wait for prices to drop, but also number one goal is to make more money, right? Hopefully we're able to make enough money where it won't really matter. But I do want to check out other similar cars. I want to check out the new Grand Cherokee, smaller, a little cheaper cars, but I want to feel good with leg room, headroom, all this. And if I'm not able to buy this next year, then I want another large car, and hopefully this in the future. I've never really considered Chevy, because I sat in some smaller Chevys and I didn't like them at all. I sat in older Chevys as well, didn't like them. But the newer Chevys, some of them, the larger ones, mainly the SUVs and pickup trucks, I'm all right with that. That's pretty cool. Sat in GMCs too, way too expensive. And the Cadillacs, those start getting up into the 80s, 90s, 100s. That's way too expensive. Now, unfortunately, these things used to be cheaper, not this gen, but these Vehicles used to be a lot cheaper, but then you have inflation in the market and everything goes crazy. So what can you do? Anyways, we're going on the highway, really nice and quiet, nice and smooth for such a land yaw. I can imagine driving this in Poland. This is so gangster. I know this isn't a lot of modern cars right now, Apple CarPlay, but I love it. I absolutely love it. I don't have that in my car, and I love the sound system. I think it's great. Everything's cool. All right, we are on the highway. Of course, we're in Chicago traffic. Look at that Cadillac Escalade compared to the old Escalade, compared to the Rango, compared to the CRV. I mean, we are sitting very high up, and I love it. I love it.